Katie here from the Scrappy Sisters, and I am up today with a new DT video for Confessions of a Paper Addict, and I am using the Rainy Days cut file. I have backed it already because it does take a while to back cut files, at least for me. Although this one, with the shape that it is relatively easy actually. I am using the Make a Splash collection, which is actually from Rosie Studio, a New Zealand company. However, in Australia they're sold under the brand The Craft Stall from the Reject Shop. So if it's something that you are interested in getting Rosie Studio products and you are in Australia, make sure you check out the Reject Shop. The one thing I will say is the paper is the really thin paper. So I don't love that. But for like backing cut files and stuff, it's great. And this collection has like mermaids and shells and all sea related things. And it was perfect for these photos of my son and I in the pool. So I don't actually remember what month these were taken in, but it was his maybe third time swimming. So he was still getting used to it. He doesn't hate it, and now he actually really likes it. But at the time, he was definitely getting used to that sensation of being in a giant pool of water. He loves baths and stuff, but you know, swimming pool is a little different. So I'm just layering up my photos. I had a whole heap of scraps in the 6x6 paper pad from Make a Splash. My sister had actually used some of it. I'm not even sure what for, but she asked to borrow the paper pad, so I said sure. I assumed she was backing a cut file, but I don't know. And she had used one of every design, but most of them she still had some left, like she had scraps left. So I decided rather than waste those, I would just create layers under my photos of all the different papers. And yeah, it works well. I didn't edit this out because actually this layout was very quick to come together. And mainly, I don't normally do this, but I did for this one. I actually did some planning off camera for how I wanted sort of the clusters to look and whatnot. So this is a much quicker video to film because I'd actually already decided where I was putting my clusters and what was going in them. And sorry, it's very early in the morning here, so I am drinking my cup of tea while getting this voiceover done, while my son is hopefully sleeping. I don't actually think he is, but he isn't making any noise, so we're going with while he's quiet, let's leave him be in his cot. But yes, he's not sleeping. I just turned the monitor on. But anyway, I should get through this voiceover before he starts squawking. I must say one good thing about Link is he's actually quite happy to lie in his cot even when he's not asleep. So that's quite nice, particularly in the mornings. So I end up, he sort of wakes up about 6 and then I get up and have a shower and get him up somewhere between 6:30, 6:45, and he's just playing in his cot quite happily, not too worried about anything. So that's quite nice. I'm still layering my photos. Again, I probably could have edited this part out, but the whole video is only like 12 minutes long. So I thought maybe I don't need to edit anything out. And I'll tell you what happens at the end, but you might notice that one main element to most scrapbook pages is missing from this layout. I'll see if anyone picks up on it, but I will tell you at the end. But it wasn't until sort of after I'd finished and I'd turned off the filming that I realised. And then I was kind of happy with how it was, so I left it. So I'm just pulling the dimensional backings off the dimensionals that I've stuck on the back of the cut file, and I am going to add that. So I am going to put my layout onto a pattern paper background. However, as I said, the Rosie Studio pattern paper is very thin, so you can't, you really can't use it as background paper without something either underneath it to strengthen it, or like what I'm doing here, I'm using the white cardstock as my background, and then I'm going to stick the cute blue and turquoise and pink paper that's on the left there as my background. So you will see some of it poke out of the sides, and it's very thin, the bits that are poking out the sides, but it's not holding any part of the layout, if that makes sense. So it doesn't need to be super thick or strong, because it's just a little bit peeking out of the sides to add some of that darker colour around the edge. And I really like it, actually. I'm really happy with the pattern paper that I chose. the good thing about the 12 by 12 paper pads in the Rosie Studio collections are they're all specialty papers. So they're like got a pearlized shiny finish, which is quite cool. And it just adds a nice subtle little bit around the edge. I don't know if I'd want it as a background paper in its entirety because it might be a little much sparkle. But yeah, it's good. So I'm just turning them back on the monitor. I think my son might have gone back to sleep. It's good times all around this morning. So I added my two photos that I've got are basically exactly the same. My partner actually took them, and one of them we're both looking at the camera smiling, and the other one I'm looking at the camera smiling and Link is looking down. So I wanted to include them both because I think they're cute photos, but the one where we're both looking at the camera was, I guess, the one that I wanted to be the focal point. So that is the one that's on top of my cut file on the top left. And the one on the bottom right, which I've kind of put under the cut file, is the one where Link is looking down at the water. So they're both lovely photos. I want to include them both, but they are essentially of the same thing. And they are essentially an identical photo. So yes, that's the way I've kind of, I guess, made it work. So the top photo is supposed to be the focal point. And the photo underneath is just another extra element. And I am just working on my clusters. So as I said, this part was really easy because I'd already planned what I was going to do. So the bottom cluster has a piece of coral and 2 pieces of seaweed, and I think that's what I'm sticking down now. I've stuck the seaweed down and I'm sticking the coral down now. I'm just using double-sided tape. And then I'm going to add a mermaid because I thought, when else am I going to get mermaids onto a scrapbook page? And the other thing about Rosie Studio products is they give you 2 of each die cut. So their die cut packs are like 160 pieces because you get 2 of everything. And so, yeah, that's 4 mermaids I have to use. And I've used 2 on this layout, which is nice. So I'm trying to, use them up on appropriate pages. Now, we have a swimming pool, so once summer rolls around for us, I will be able to use this on a lot more of our summer layouts, which will be fun. But I thought this is water related, so it totally works. So I've added the mermaid, and I'm adding a little word strip that says, "You are a treasure." And the top cluster that I worked on had kind of the water splashes, I don't know what that animal is called. Someone did tell me in another, is it a narwhal? I don't know. Someone told me in another video. And then it's got a little jellyfish. And now I'm working on the cluster on the other photos. So the bottom right cluster of the photo on the left. Wow, that's confusing. And this is pretty much the same as the cluster down the bottom right. So it's got coral and a piece of seaweed. And then I'm adding a mermaid and a word sticker or a phrase strip, sorry. And this phrase strip is "just keep swimming," which I thought was appropriate. And so I'm adding that. And then, the final cluster is the top left. So I actually have 4 clusters in this layout, which I'm totally fine with. I suppose the cluster on the right-hand side down the bottom sort of looks like one cluster because it does almost join the top and the bottom around that photo, but that's okay. So the top cluster I'm working on has the splashes, and it has a little turtle, and I'm thinking I'm adding a little, what do you call those things? Seahorse. Gosh, I'd lost my words. And then I'm also adding a phrase strip, and this one says, "You can't stop me," which again I thought was pretty cute. And then just to finish off this layout, well, not really, because of course I add splatters, but I'm actually adding some bubbles. So they had bubbles in the die cut pack, and I'm adding those around my clusters just to add a little bit of dimension, popping them up on foam dots, all of them, just to add something extra. I guess it's a little bit like enamel dots, but yeah, I'm adding those. And then I'm basically done, and I'm just going to add some splatters, and that will be it for this layout. So have you noticed what I'm missing? I didn't put a title on. So I didn't actually think about it while I was creating this layout. Admittedly, I was doing it while my son was asleep, and I was trying to get it finished in a short period of time. However, once I'd finished it and realised I hadn't done the title, I was actually quite happy with how it looked. I didn't want to kind of detract from my layout, and I didn't think it needed a title. I will add a couple of lines of journaling, which I don't normally do to my layouts, but not a lot of journaling, just a few, a line about what we're doing. And the date, of course, I put the date on all of my layouts. But yeah, I'm not going to have a title. So there you go. I know some people don't put titles on their layouts. I don't think I've ever not had a title. So it feels a little strange, but that's okay. I'm rolling with it and I'm really happy with it. And so I am adding navy Heidi Swapp Colour Shine, pink Kaiser Craft mist, and silver art spray. That's actually an acrylic paint mist. And they're my splatters, and then I'll be done. So I'll leave a link to everything Confessions of a Paper Addict related in the description box. So I'll link to this cut file, but I'll also link to the awesome Facebook group that you can be a part of. And yeah, definitely come and check us out. We have lots of inspiration happening, lots of layout shares and fun chatting and whatnot, and it's great. And you don't have to necessarily make layouts with cut files. You can share whatever you like. So it's great to see you, and we will see you in the next video. I hope you liked this layout. I'm really happy with how bright and colourful it looks. And yeah, I think it's fabulous. So as I said, everything will be linked down below. Definitely go and check out Confessions of a Paper Addict cut file store on Etsy if you like cut files and you have a cut file machine. Highly recommend going to check them out. And we will see you in the next video. All right, guys. Bye.